A new journey begins. Marcus Johnson stood on the balcony of his penthouse overlooking the quiet Atlanta skyline, deep in thought. For as long as he could remember, he had been guided by an unshakable vision, a dream not just to succeed but to build something that mattered. His airline, Horizon Airways, was the manifestation of that dream, a company he had molded from a single plane operation into a symbol of excellence and service. It was a legacy of compassion and connection, values instilled in him by his parents, values he was now passing on to his 12-year-old daughter, Leila. Layla was his pride, his joy, and the center of his world. She had been just a toddler when her mother passed away, leaving Marcus to raise her alone. It wasn't easy, balancing the responsibilities of a burgeoning business with the demands of fatherhood, but Leila had filled his life with purpose. She had her mother's gentle spirit and a natural inclination toward kindness, a quality that made her stand out even at her young age. She was thoughtful, with a curious mind and a heart that seemed to overflow with empathy for others. For Marcus, Leila was more than a daughter. She was his inspiration. As Leila grew older, Marcus had seen how her empathy blossomed, how she went out of her way to make others feel included, whether it was standing up for a friend or offering a listening ear. Her kindness reminded him of his mother, a woman who had taught him that success was hollow without integrity, compassion, and respect. These were the values that guided him as he built Horizon Airways, and he hoped to pass them on to Leila. One weekend, Marcus decided to take Leila on a trip to New York City, a city she had only seen in movies and books, but had always dreamed of visiting. They packed their bags with a sense of excitement and anticipation, both looking forward to spending some quality time together away from the distractions of everyday life. As they made their way to the airport, Marcus noticed how her eyes sparkled with wonder, and it filled him with joy. But as they boarded the Horizon Airways flight and settled into their seats, their excitement was unexpectedly interrupted. Clara, the flight attendant assigned to their section, was known among her colleagues for her no-nonsense attitude. She was efficient, but she lacked the warmth and empathy that Horizon was supposed to embody. Her approach to passengers was often curt, and to her, the job was about maintaining order rather than creating a memorable experience. As Marcus and Leila settled into their first-class seats, Leila pulled out a book from her bag. She was engrossed in it within moments, her mind already lost in the story. Clara approached them with a stern expression and, without a word of greeting, directed her attention to Leila. "Young lady, put that book away. We're preparing for takeoff," she said, her tone sharp. Leila looked up, startled by the sudden intrusion, and mumbled an apology, reaching to close the book. But before she could finish, Clara grabbed the book from her hands and tossed it into the overhead compartment, her movements brisk and dismissive. Lila's face fell, her expression one of shock and hurt. She had never encountered someone so abrupt, and it left her shaken. Marcus, who had been adjusting his seatbelt, looked over just in time to catch the end of the exchange. His heart ached as he saw the look on Lila's face, a mixture of confusion and disappointment. Maintaining his composure, he addressed Clara in a calm but firm tone. "Excuse me, I think an apology is in order. My daughter was following your instructions, and there was no need to be so abrupt." Clara gave a slight, almost mocking scoff, crossing her arms. "Sir, I'm just doing my job. Maybe if your daughter paid more attention, we wouldn't have to go through this," she replied dismissively. In that moment, Marcus felt a surge of anger, but he restrained himself, deciding not to reveal his identity as the CEO of Horizon Airways. He wanted to understand why an employee in his company, a company founded on values of respect and compassion, would act this way. Taking a deep breath, he said, "Let's just focus on having a safe and pleasant flight." Leila looked at him, admiration shining in her eyes. She reached for his hand, squeezing it as if to assure him that she was okay, even if the experience had shaken her. She had always been treated with kindness and respect, and this was a stark departure from what she was accustomed to. She took a deep breath, determined not to let the encounter dampen her spirit. As the flight continued, Marcus watched Leela closely. She was uncharacteristically quiet. Her usual sparkle dimmed. He knew that something deeper was brewing within her, that this experience had affected her in a way he hadn't anticipated. He noticed her pulling out a small notebook and pen, her brows knitted in concentration as she began to write. "What are you writing, sweetheart?" he asked gently, leaning closer to see the page. She looked up, a flicker of determination in her eyes. "I'm writing a letter to Horizon Airways. I want them to know how Clara's actions made me feel. It's important for people to know when they're not being treated with kindness." Marcus felt a swell of pride as he listened to her speak. Here was his daughter, standing up for herself in a way that was graceful and mature, choosing to voice her feelings with words rather than bitterness. It was a testament to her character and to the values he had worked so hard to instill in her. "That's my girl," he said, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Your voice is powerful, and it's worth using." By the time they landed in New York, Leela had filled several pages with her thoughts. She wrote about how Clara's behavior had made her feel unwelcome and disrespected, how it had taken away from what was supposed to be a joyful experience with her father. But she didn't stop there. She also wrote about the importance of kindness and respect, values that she knew her father had built Horizon Airways upon. She expressed her hope that every passenger would feel valued and respected, regardless of their age or background. As they made their way through the bustling streets of New York, temporarily setting the incident aside, Marcus couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and sorrow. His airline was his pride, a symbol of the values he held dear, yet this experience had shown him that perhaps something was amiss within his company's culture. A storm in the skies. The city lights of New York dazzled Leela, but even in the midst of the exciting sights and sounds, she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that lingered from the flight. As they navigated the busy streets, she clutched her notebook tightly, her thoughts swirling. She had poured her heart into that letter, but part of her wondered if it would even make a difference. Would anyone care enough to read it? Would her words truly matter? Meanwhile, Marcus was grappling with his own thoughts. Horizon Airways wasn't just an airline. It was a reflection of the values he had fought to uphold. For years, he had worked tirelessly to build a company that valued every passenger, that treated each person with dignity. But the incident with Clara had planted a seed of doubt. If Clara, an employee of several years, felt comfortable treating passengers so dismissively, what else might be slipping through the cracks? Marcus knew he couldn't let this go unaddressed. Later that evening, as they sat in their hotel room overlooking the glimmering Manhattan skyline, Marcus turned to Leela. "Honey, I'm proud of you for writing that letter," he began, his voice filled with warmth and sincerity. "Not everyone would have the courage to speak up. It's easy to ignore things that make us uncomfortable, but you chose to stand up for what you believe is right." Leela smiled, looking down at the notebook in her hands. "Do you really think they'll read it, Dad? I don't want to cause any trouble, but I don't want anyone else to feel the way I did." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "Your words matter, Leela. Sometimes, the simplest truths can open eyes and change hearts. And if there's anything I've learned, it's that kindness isn't always about big gestures. Often, it's about the small acts, the things we do when no one's watching. But you're right. Everyone deserves to feel welcome, and that's something Horizon should stand for." The next morning, Marcus was up early, his mind already buzzing with thoughts on how to address the deeper issues within his company. He sent a few emails to his leadership team, requesting a meeting as soon as he returned. He also made a call to Daniel Tran, Horizon's Vice President of Human Resources, and someone Marcus trusted implicitly. "Daniel, good morning," Marcus greeted him, trying to keep his tone light despite the seriousness of his intentions. "I had an experience on a recent flight that I think we need to discuss. I'm concerned it might point to a larger issue within our culture." There was a pause on the other end, and Marcus could hear the faint scratching of Daniel's pen on paper as he took notes. "Understood, Marcus. I'll prepare a report on our recent passenger feedback. Do you want me to focus on any specific areas?" "Yes," Marcus replied. "I'd like you to focus on cases where passengers reported dismissive or unkind behavior from staff, especially toward those who might need extra assistance, families, elderly passengers, children. I want us to have a clear picture of where we stand." As Marcus ended the call, he felt a mix of determination and frustration. He hadn't become the CEO of Horizon to let its values be compromised. This wasn't just about Layla's experience. It was about the essence of what he had worked so hard to build. Leila, sensing her father's focus and intensity, watched him quietly. She was still feeling a bit shaken by the incident, but she could see the resolve in his eyes. "Are you going to try to make changes, Dad?" she asked, her voice soft, but full of curiosity. Marcus nodded. "I am, sweetheart. You know, one of the things I love about running Horizon is that we're more than just a company. We're like a family, and just like in a family, it's important that everyone feels respected and valued. I want to make sure that the culture we've built really reflects those values." Leila's face brightened with a small, hopeful smile. "I think that's why people like Horizon, Dad. They feel cared for, like they matter." As Marcus listened to Leila's words, he felt his heart swell with pride. Here was his daughter, wise beyond her years, grasping the very essence of what he had always hoped Horizon would be. Her letter was just a small example of the integrity and kindness she carried with her, and he was more determined than ever to make her proud. After a day filled with exploring New York's iconic sights, Central Park, the Empire State Building, and even a lively Broadway show, Marcus and Leila returned to their hotel room. They had laughed and marveled at the wonders of the city, but as the lights dimmed and the noise of the city settled into a hum outside, the flight incident came back to both of their minds. "Dad," Leila began hesitantly as she brushed her teeth, "do you think Clara was just having a bad day?" Marcus considered her question thoughtfully. "It's possible, Leila. Everyone has tough days. But part of working at Horizon means being able to treat people well even when things are hard. That's what makes us different. People should feel cared for, no matter what." As Leila slipped into bed, she held her notebook close, feeling the weight of her words. She had been brave enough to write them down, and now her father was taking steps to make sure they were heard. She fell asleep with a sense of purpose, feeling as if her small voice had somehow mattered. In the days that followed, Marcus returned to Atlanta with a renewed sense of mission. He held meetings with his team, poring over feedback and discussing how to reinforce Horizon's values throughout the company. Daniel had uncovered several incidents similar to the one Marcus and Leila had experienced. It became clear that Clara wasn't the only employee struggling with empathy and patience under pressure. "We need to do better," Marcus told his team, his voice resolute. "Every passenger is someone's loved one, and they deserve our best. We're going to implement empathy training, not as a one-time event, but as an ongoing commitment to our values." Daniel nodded, already drafting a plan. "We could also consider workshops to help employees manage stress and remember the impact they have on passengers. Maybe even share some real stories from our customers to remind them of the human side of their work." Marcus agreed. "Let's also think about creating a mentorship program where more experienced staff can guide newer employees in understanding what we stand for." The changes were put into motion swiftly, and soon, Horizon was buzzing with new energy. The team held a series of workshops focused on empathy, compassion, and the importance of creating positive interactions. Marcus even decided to incorporate role-playing scenarios, allowing employees to put themselves in the shoes of passengers. As Horizon employees went through these new programs, the impact began to ripple outward. Employees started sharing their own stories of kindness, recounting moments where they had gone above and beyond to help passengers. Some had calmed anxious children on their first flights, others had assisted elderly travelers, and many had taken time to reassure passengers during turbulence. One morning, Daniel stopped by Marcus's office, a pleased smile on his face. "You'll want to see this," he said, handing Marcus a printed email. The email was from a passenger who had been on one of Horizon's recent flights. She wrote about how a flight attendant had comforted her during a particularly bumpy flight, staying by her side and chatting with her until she felt calm. "I could feel the warmth and care in every interaction," the email read. "It's rare to feel genuinely cared for when you travel, but Horizon made me feel safe and valued." Reading the words, Marcus felt his chest tighten with emotion. This was what he had always wanted Horizon to be, a place where people felt a sense of care and connection, even in the sky. Back at home, he shared the email with Leela, who beamed with pride. "See, Dad, people are noticing. It's working." He pulled her into a gentle hug. "It all started with you, Leila. Your letter made all of this happen. You're helping to make Horizon better, and I couldn't be prouder." Leela's eyes sparkled with a mix of pride and joy. She realized now that even small actions could have a big impact, and that her words truly mattered. The changes unfolding within Horizon weren't just improving the airline. They were becoming a legacy of kindness that she and her father were building together. In the weeks that followed, Horizon's culture began to evolve. Passengers wrote letters of gratitude, sharing stories of how employees had made their journey special. Marcus knew that there was still work to be done, but with Lila's inspiration, he felt that he was on the right path. He had always known that his daughter was special, but now he saw her as an equal partner in his mission, a young leader whose voice was helping shape the future of Horizon. Their journey was just beginning, but both Marcus and Leela felt a sense of purpose that was bigger than themselves. They were creating a ripple of kindness, one act at a time, and in the process, building a legacy that would continue to grow for years to come. A letter that set things in motion. The days passed quickly, and soon, Marcus found himself more deeply immersed than ever in the mission of reshaping Horizon Airways. The company had always been a point of pride for him, but now, with Lila's letter as a catalyst, his vision was expanding. He wasn't just leading a business. He was championing a movement of kindness, a philosophy of care that extended beyond simply getting people from point A to point B. Meanwhile, Lila's letter had traveled through Horizon's hierarchy faster than either of them anticipated. A copy had landed on the desk of Jenna Wallace, the head of Horizon's customer relations department. Jenna, a sharp and compassionate woman with a background in psychology, was particularly moved by the letter's sincerity. Lila's words echoed her own beliefs about the importance of human connection, and she immediately reached out to Marcus with an idea. "Marcus, I think Lila's letter could serve as a guiding document for us," she said in their weekly executive meeting. "Her words are a powerful reminder of why we're here. We've always talked about creating a caring environment, but maybe we need to go further. What if we use her letter as the foundation for a new internal campaign focused on kindness?" The room fell silent as Jenna spoke, her words resonating with the team. Marcus nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I think that's a beautiful idea, Jenna," he replied. "Let's take Lila's letter and build something transformative around it. This isn't just about one person's experience. It's about setting a new standard for how we operate." The team went to work immediately, brainstorming ways to bring this vision to life. Jenna proposed a campaign called the Kindness Connection, which would celebrate and encourage acts of empathy among the Horizon staff. The program would be rolled out across every department, from in-flight crew and customer service agents to maintenance and ground staff. Each week, employees would share stories of kindness, and these stories would be displayed on a kindness wall in Horizon's main offices. The idea was to create an environment where compassion was as much a priority as efficiency and safety. Excited by the potential of the campaign, Marcus decided to share the news with Leila. He knew she had planted the seed that would grow into something meaningful, and he wanted her to feel as much a part of it as he did. That evening, as they sat together on the couch in their living room, he pulled out a copy of her letter. "Leila, your letter has inspired something big," he began, smiling warmly. "We're starting a campaign called the Kindness Connection, and your words will be its foundation." Leila's eyes widened in surprise, her cheeks flushing with pride. "Really? My letter?" she asked, her voice filled with awe. "But I was just sharing how I felt. I didn't think it would lead to something so big." Marcus chuckled, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "Sometimes, the simplest truths are the most powerful. Your words have reminded us all of what Horizon should stand for. It's easy to get lost in the day-to-day work, but kindness and respect are what make us who we are." Over the next few weeks, Leela watched in amazement as her father and his team rolled out the Kindness Connection. Posters with quotes from her letter appeared in employee break rooms, accompanied by stories from staff who had gone above and beyond for passengers. The Kindness Wall was installed in the main terminal at Horizon's Atlanta headquarters, and within days, it was covered with handwritten notes, photos, and heartfelt stories. One story came from a flight attendant named Michael, who had recently calmed a nervous flyer by engaging him in conversation about his family and life. Another came from Clara herself, who had, after undergoing the new empathy training, found a new perspective on her work. She wrote a note about a passenger who had reminded her of her late father, describing how the encounter had softened her approach to her job. Clara's story touched the hearts of many employees who had initially resisted the kindness campaign, and it showed Marcus that even those who were once skeptical could change. One morning, Leela accompanied her father to Horizon's headquarters. She was eager to see the Kindness Wall and experience firsthand the impact her letter was having. As they walked through the terminal, employees greeted her with smiles and nods of respect. She was surprised by how many people knew her name and felt a sense of responsibility for the change she had sparked. When they reached the wall, she was overwhelmed by what she saw. The wall was covered in stories of compassion, each note a small testament to how one person's kindness had made a difference in someone else's day. She reached for a note from a ground crew member named Sophia, who had stayed late to help a passenger with a heavy load of luggage. Next to it was a story from a customer service agent who had gone out of her way to calm an elderly couple after their flight was delayed. Each note was like a small heartbeat, a reminder that people cared. As she read the stories, Leela felt a surge of pride, but also a sense of humility. She had simply written down her feelings, yet here it was, her words sparking a movement. "Dad," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I never imagined this would happen." Marcus looked at her, his own heart swelling with pride. "That's the thing about kindness, sweetheart. It grows. You planted a seed, and now look at what it's become." After they finished reading through the notes, Marcus took Lila to meet with a few key members of his team. Jenna greeted her warmly, introducing her to Daniel and the other executives who had worked tirelessly to bring the Kindness Connection to life. They shared stories of how employees were responding to the campaign, how it had created a renewed sense of pride and purpose throughout Horizon. "Leela, your letter reminded us of the importance of empathy," Jenna told her. "This campaign isn't just about customer service, it's about creating a workplace where people support and uplift each other. And that's thanks to you." As they left the meeting, Marcus and Leela wandered down the hallway, taking in the quiet buzz of Horizon's headquarters. Leela felt like she was in a dream, almost unable to believe that her words had brought about such change. In the weeks that followed, the Kindness Connection continued to grow. Marcus received letters from passengers who had noticed a shift in the way Horizon employees treated them. One letter, in particular, stood out to him. It was from a mother traveling alone with her young children, who described how a Horizon flight attendant had offered to help entertain her kids during a long delay. "For the first time in a while, I felt like someone cared," she wrote. "Horizon has a special place in my heart because of that simple act of kindness." These stories became the lifeblood of Horizon's new identity, a testament to the ripple effect that one small letter could create. Marcus knew that there was still work to be done, but he felt a renewed sense of purpose and drive. This was no longer just a business, it was a mission. One afternoon, he received a surprising call from a local journalist who had heard about the Kindness Connection. She was interested in interviewing him and Leela about the inspiration behind the campaign. Marcus hesitated, concerned about exposing Lila to the public eye, but after discussing it with her, he saw how much she wanted to share her story. The interview took place at Horizon's headquarters. Layla sat beside her father, slightly nervous but determined to tell her story. The journalist, a kind woman named Carol, asked her about her experience with Clara and what had inspired her to write the letter. "Well," Leela began, her voice steady, "I just wanted people to feel like they mattered. When my dad told me about how important kindness was to Horizon, I believed it. And when I felt that it wasn't there, I thought maybe I should say something." Carol smiled, visibly moved. "And how do you feel now, seeing all of this, the kindness wall, the changes Horizon is making?" Leela looked at her father, her face full of pride. "I feel like we're making a difference, like my letter wasn't just words on a page. People are being kinder, and that means a lot to me." After the interview, Marcus and Leela returned home, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. The article went viral, drawing attention from both customers and competitors. Horizon's story inspired a wave of similar initiatives across the airline industry, and soon, kindness campaigns began popping up at other companies, each one citing Horizon as a pioneer. As the weeks passed, Marcus realized that this movement was no longer something he was leading alone. His employees had taken ownership of it, and they were carrying it forward with a level of enthusiasm and dedication that astounded him. Even Clara, who had once been dismissive and abrupt, was now one of the campaign's strongest advocates, often mentoring new employees and sharing her own transformation with them. The impact of the kindness connection extended far beyond Horizon's walls. Marcus began receiving invitations to speak at conferences about how empathy and kindness could transform a company's culture. And through it all, Leela remained by his side, his partner in this mission of compassion. As they looked toward the future, Marcus and Leela knew that their journey was only just beginning. Horizon had become more than an airline. It was a beacon of kindness, a reminder that even in a world as hectic as air travel, there was always room for compassion. They were building a legacy, one that they hoped would continue to inspire long after they were gone. The ripple effect begins. The buzz from the success of the kindness connection reached far beyond Horizon Airways, drawing attention from both industry leaders and ordinary people inspired by the airline's mission. Marcus and Leela couldn't believe how far a single letter had traveled, igniting a wave of compassion that transcended the walls of Horizon's headquarters. Layla's story, and the story of Horizon, was resonating with people everywhere. One evening, as they sat together at the dinner table, Leela brought up an idea that had been forming in her mind for weeks. "Dad," she began, her voice hesitant but full of excitement, "what if we could take this idea of kindness even further? Like, what if Horizon's mission didn't stop with passengers and employees? What if we tried to help people in the cities where we fly to?" Marcus leaned forward, intrigued. "I'm listening, sweetheart. What do you have in mind?" Leela's eyes sparkled. "What if Horizon set up community centers in some of the cities we fly to? They could be places where people could get help with things they need, like job training, support with learning new languages, or even just a safe place to go after school. We could call them Horizon Hubs." Marcus's eyes lit up with pride and amazement. Here was his daughter, not only taking the kindness movement to heart, but envisioning ways to make it grow into something bigger, something lasting. "That's a brilliant idea, Leela," he said, smiling. "Horizon Hubs could be a way for us to give back to the communities that support us, a way to show that our commitment to kindness doesn't end when people leave the airport. It would be a way for Horizon to be a part of people's lives in a meaningful way." Leela beamed, her heart pounding with excitement. "Do you really think we could do it?" "Absolutely," Marcus replied. "It'll take a lot of planning, and we'll need to work closely with local organizations, but I think this could be something truly transformative. Let's talk to the team and see how we can make it happen." Over the next few months, Horizon's leadership team worked tirelessly to bring Leela's idea to life. They collaborated with nonprofits, local government organizations, and community leaders to establish Horizon hubs in strategic locations, beginning with cities where Horizon had a strong presence. Each hub would be tailored to the unique needs of its community, whether that meant offering Resume workshops, language courses, or mentorship programs for young people. Marcus envisioned these spaces as welcoming sanctuaries, places where kindness could flourish beyond the airport and take root in the communities themselves. The first Horizon hub opened in Atlanta, not far from Horizon's headquarters. Marcus and Leela attended the opening ceremony together, feeling the weight of the moment. The hub was a vibrant space filled with bookshelves, computer stations, and cozy seating areas. Volunteers from Horizon's staff and the local community had decorated the space with artwork and inspirational quotes, and they had prepared a special area for children, complete with toys, books, and art supplies. As the doors opened, families, students, and job seekers from the neighborhood trickled in, each greeted warmly by Horizon staff. Lila was elated as she saw the smiles on people's faces, the excitement in the eyes of young children as they explored the space. She even saw a few parents sitting down with Horizon volunteers to go over job applications and resumes. "Look, Dad," she whispered, pointing to a group of teenagers who were clustered around one of the volunteer mentors, learning about career opportunities in aviation. "It's happening. People are here, and they're happy." Marcus smiled, a surge of pride swelling in his chest. "This is only the beginning, Leila. Your idea is going to change lives." During the opening, a local reporter approached them, eager to hear more about the mission behind Horizon hubs. Marcus and Leila spoke about the power of kindness, about how one small action could ripple outward, creating change that touched people in unexpected ways. They explained that Horizon hubs were a way to make that ripple effect tangible, to give people a place where they could find support, resources, and a sense of belonging. "We want to show people that kindness isn't just something we talk about at Horizon. It's something we live by, something we carry with us everywhere we go," Leela told the reporter, her voice brimming with conviction. "We hope these hubs will become places where people can come together, help each other, and build a better future." The article was published a week later, and soon enough, the story of Horizon hubs was making waves across the country. People were inspired by the idea that an airline, an industry often criticized for its impersonal nature, was making such a bold commitment to kindness and community. Letters poured in from people in cities across the country, each expressing admiration for Horizon's mission and requesting a hub in their own communities. Some letters came from former passengers who shared stories of how Horizon employees had gone out of their way to make them feel cared for during difficult times. Others came from children, eager to see a hub in their neighborhoods. Buoyed by this response, Marcus and his team quickly began planning additional hubs, starting with New York City and Los Angeles, two of Horizon's most active destinations. For Marcus, each hub was a testament to the legacy he and Leela were building together, a legacy of compassion and community that reached far beyond the skies. Months passed, and the Horizon hubs flourished. Each one took on a unique character, reflecting the needs and personalities of its community. The Los Angeles hub became a popular spot for youth mentorship programs, with local artists volunteering their time to lead workshops on creativity and self-expression. The New York City hub, nestled in a bustling neighborhood in Brooklyn, developed a vibrant language exchange program, helping recent immigrants learn English and connect with the local community. Each time a new hub opened, Marcus and Leela were there to witness the joy and gratitude of the people it served. At the grand opening of the Brooklyn hub, a mother approached Leela, her voice trembling with emotion. "My son has been struggling to fit in at school," she explained, her eyes glistening with tears. "But ever since he started coming here, he's been more confident. He's made friends and even started to help with the English classes. I don't know how to thank you." Leela's heart swelled as she listened to the woman's words, realizing that the impact of their work was greater than she could have ever imagined. She looked up at her father, her voice filled with pride and wonder. We're really making a difference, Dad. Marcus nodded, feeling the full weight of her words. Yes, we are, sweetheart. And it all started with your letter. The success of the Horizon hubs led to an unexpected wave of interest from other companies. CEOs, nonprofit leaders, and social entrepreneurs reached out to Marcus, eager to learn from Horizon's approach and incorporate similar initiatives within their own organizations. Marcus began receiving invitations to speak at conferences and summits, sharing the story of how Horizon had embraced kindness as a core value and transformed it into a powerful force for change. During a leadership summit in San Francisco, Marcus took the stage before an audience of executives from various industries. As he recounted the story of Leela's letter and the birth of the Kindness Connection, he could see the impact it was having. Faces softened, eyes glistened, and people leaned forward, captivated by the idea that a single act of courage could lead to something so transformative. We often think of kindness as something we offer in passing, Marcus said, his voice steady yet filled with conviction. But what if we thought of it as a strategy, as a guiding principle for how we conduct business, how we treat our employees, and how we serve our communities? What if every company saw itself as a part of something bigger, something that goes beyond profit and reaches into the lives of the people we serve? The applause that followed was thunderous, and as Marcus left the stage, people approached him, eager to learn more about how they could bring a similar approach to their own organizations. Marcus realized that Horizon's mission was becoming more than just an airline philosophy. It was inspiring a movement. Back at Horizon, the changes continued to ripple outward. Inspired by the success of the hubs, Leela suggested another idea, an annual Kindness Day, where Horizon employees would volunteer in their communities, engaging in acts of service and kindness beyond their work. They could visit shelters, read to children, clean up local parks, and assist food banks. The idea quickly gained traction, and soon, the first annual Horizon Kindness Day was in full swing, with employees across the country coming together to give back. On the first Kindness Day, Leela and Marcus joined a team of Horizon employees at a local children's hospital in Atlanta. Dressed in Horizon volunteer t-shirts, they spent the day reading stories, playing games, and doing arts and crafts with the young patients. Leela found herself sitting next to a shy boy named Ethan, who was clutching a small stuffed dinosaur. She sat with him, gently coaxing him out of his shell as they colored together. After a while, Ethan looked up at her and whispered, "I'm scared of being here, but you make it a little better." Leela's heart melted as she looked into his earnest eyes. "You're really brave, Ethan," she said softly, patting his hand. "And whenever you feel scared, just remember there are lots of people who care about you." As they left the hospital that day, Leela felt a profound sense of purpose. The joy on the children's faces, the gratitude in the eyes of the parents. This was what her father had meant when he talked about the ripple effect. Kindness wasn't just an idea. It was something you did, something you shared, something that left a lasting imprint on the hearts of others. That evening, Marcus and Leela sat together on the porch, watching the sun set over the horizon. They talked about the journey they had taken together, the letter that had sparked it all, and the incredible impact it was having. The hubs, the kindness wall, the annual Kindness Day. Each initiative had brought them closer to their goal of creating a company that was more than just an airline. Horizon had become a family, a movement, a beacon of hope and compassion. "Dad," Leela said quietly, her voice filled with determination, "I want to keep doing this forever. I want Horizon to always be a place where people feel cared for, no matter what." Marcus put his arm around her, his heart swelling with pride. "I have no doubt that you will, Leela. You've shown me that kindness can change the world, and I know that Horizon is in good hands with you by my side." As the last rays of sunlight faded into the evening sky, they sat in peaceful silence, knowing that their journey was only beginning. Together, they would continue to spread kindness, one act at a time, believing that every small gesture had the power to transform lives. Horizon was more than just a company. It was a legacy, a testament to the power of compassion, and a promise that kindness would always have a place in the world. A legacy of kindness takes flight. The impact of Horizon's initiatives reached new heights as the airline's reputation for compassion and community-centered values spread around the world. Lila's initial letter had created a ripple effect that was now shaping not only Horizon's culture but inspiring industries far beyond aviation. Horizon had become a symbol of what companies could achieve when they prioritized people over profit, when they treated kindness as a foundational principle rather than a fleeting sentiment. Marcus and Lila knew that they were only at the beginning of what would be a long, fulfilling journey. One afternoon, Marcus received a phone call from a representative of a prestigious business school, inviting him to deliver a keynote address on ethical leadership and social responsibility. They wanted him to share Horizon's story, to explain how one airline had managed to transform the culture of an entire industry. Marcus was honored, but he was also hesitant. "Lila," he said later that evening, pacing their living room as he spoke, "they want me to give this talk about Horizon, but it's really your story too. Without your letter, none of this would have happened." Lila, now a teenager with an even deeper understanding of the power of kindness, looked at him thoughtfully. "Dad, I think you should do it. You're the one who made my little letter into something big. Besides, people need to know that even CEOs care about things like kindness and empathy." Marcus smiled, his heart warmed by her words. "How about this? You'll come with me. You don't have to speak if you don't want to, but I'd like you to be there. This journey belongs to both of us." A week later, father and daughter found themselves standing before a packed auditorium, filled with eager students, faculty, and business professionals. As Marcus began his speech, he shared the story of how Lila's letter had opened his eyes to the importance of embedding kindness into every aspect of Horizon's operations. He spoke about the creation of the Kindness Connection, the opening of the Horizon Hubs, and the annual Kindness Day. He explained how these initiatives had transformed not just the way Horizon served its customers, but how its employees connected with one another. And all of this, he concluded, his voice filled with emotion, started because my daughter, Lila, wrote a simple letter. She reminded me of something I had almost forgotten in the rush of running a business, that at the end of the day, every person deserves to be seen, valued, and respected. Lila, would you like to say a few words? The audience erupted in applause as Lila stepped up to the podium. She hesitated, glancing at her father before taking a deep breath. "When I wrote that letter," she began, her voice steady, "I was just sharing how I felt. I didn't expect anyone to read it, let alone use it to change things. But my dad showed me that even small actions can have a big impact. And now, because of that letter, I know that kindness isn't just something you say. It's something you do. It's a way to make people feel less alone, to show them that they matter." The applause was thunderous, and as she stepped back, Marcus could see the pride and admiration in her eyes. She had spoken from the heart, and the audience had felt it. After the keynote, Marcus and Lila were surrounded by students and professors eager to hear more about their journey. Many of the students shared their own stories, describing how they, too, had been inspired to make a difference in their communities. One young man, a business major named Carlos, asked, "Mr. Johnson, how do you keep your focus on kindness when there's so much pressure to meet business goals and grow?" Marcus thought for a moment, then replied, "It's true that running a business comes with a lot of pressure. But I've learned that when you build your values into the foundation of your company, it becomes part of everything you do. We found that kindness actually leads to stronger relationships with customers, happier employees, and ultimately, a more successful business. When you treat people well, they trust you, and that trust becomes the backbone of your growth." Carlos nodded thoughtfully, seeming to absorb the wisdom of his words. Back at Horizon, the impact of the kindness initiatives continued to expand. Stories poured in daily from passengers who had been touched by the airline's new approach to service. Employees, too, felt the difference. The atmosphere within the company was one of camaraderie and support, a stark contrast to the high-stress, impersonal environments that characterize much of the industry. Flight attendants, ground crew, and customer service agents alike were finding new meaning in their work, knowing that they were part of something bigger than themselves. One morning, Marcus received a message from Sarah Hartman, a senior flight attendant who had initially been resistant to the new kindness training. Sarah was known for her no-nonsense approach and had often questioned the practicality of empathy-focused training in a high-demand job. But her recent experiences had shifted her perspective. In her message, she wrote, "Marcus, I'll be honest, I didn't think all this kindness stuff would work. I thought it was just a phase, something we'd try and then go back to business as usual. But last week, I helped a family whose child was terrified of flying. I sat with them, played games with the little girl, and made her laugh. Her mother thanked me afterward with tears in her eyes, saying that no one had ever shown them that kind of care. For the first time, I understood what this is all about. Thank you for showing us that we're more than just flight attendants. We're making a difference." Reading Sarah's words, Marcus felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He knew that change wasn't easy, that it required time, patience, and the willingness to keep moving forward even when things got difficult. Sarah's transformation was a testament to the power of persistence, to the idea that even the most resistant people could open their hearts to kindness if given the chance. One evening, as he was wrapping up work, Marcus received a surprising call from an old friend, Tom Rayleigh, who worked as an executive at another major airline. Tom had seen Horizon's kindness initiatives in action and wanted to discuss the possibility of a partnership between their two companies. "Marcus, I have to say, what you've done with Horizon is incredible," Tom said, his admiration evident in his voice. "It's inspiring. I think our industry could benefit from this kind of approach, and I'd like to see if there's a way we could collaborate." Marcus was taken aback. He had never expected another airline to reach out, let alone with a proposal to work together on spreading kindness. "I'd be honored, Tom. Let's sit down and figure out how we can make this happen." The meeting between Horizon and Tom's airline marked the beginning of a new chapter. Together, they launched the Skies of Kindness initiative, a program aimed at fostering empathy, respect, and compassion across the entire airline industry. The initiative included cross-training programs where employees from both airlines shared their stories and best practices, learning from one another's experiences. The goal was to create a standard of kindness that would transcend brand competition, focusing instead on improving the overall travel experience for passengers everywhere. The partnership was groundbreaking, and soon other airlines were joining the movement, eager to bring this new approach to their own operations. For Marcus, it was a powerful reminder of how far Horizon had come, and of how a single letter from his daughter had sparked a transformation that was now influencing an entire industry. Meanwhile, Layla was experiencing her own journey of growth and leadership. The story of her letter had become widely known, and she was regularly invited to speak at schools and youth events. She started her own initiative, called the Kindness Chronicles, a program that encouraged young people to document acts of kindness in their schools and communities. Students would write down their stories, submit them to the program, and share them during monthly gatherings. One morning, Layla was invited to speak at a youth leadership conference where students from around the country had gathered. She stood before the audience, a mixture of excitement and nerves, as she recounted her journey from writing a simple letter to inspiring a movement of kindness. "When I wrote that letter, I didn't think anyone would listen," she said, her voice steady but soft. "But my dad showed me that even the smallest voices matter. He showed me that kindness isn't just about being nice. It's about standing up for what you believe is right, even if it's scary. And now, I get to see people all around the world choosing kindness because of something I wrote. That's the power of one voice." The young audience listened in awe, many of them inspired by her story. Afterward, several students approached her, sharing their own stories of kindness and expressing their desire to make a difference. It was a humbling moment for Leela, who realized that her journey was touching lives in ways she had never imagined. Back at Horizon, the momentum continued to build. The Skies of Kindness initiative was recognized by several major industry awards, celebrating Horizon and its partners for pioneering a new approach to service. Passengers began choosing Horizon not just for its comfort and amenities, but for the genuine care they felt from every interaction. Horizon's brand became synonymous with kindness, setting a new standard in the industry and beyond. As the years passed, Horizon continued to grow, expanding its routes and welcoming new generations of employees who carried the values of kindness and respect forward. Marcus knew that he had built something enduring, a legacy that would last long after he was gone. But he also knew that the heart of that legacy rested with Leela, who had shown him the way when he had almost forgotten what mattered most. One evening, as they walked together through the Horizon headquarters, they stopped in front of the kindness wall. It had grown over the years, now filled with thousands of stories, photos, and thank you notes from passengers and employees alike. Each story was a testament to the power of kindness, a reminder that Horizon was more than just an airline. It was a movement, a family united by a shared commitment to compassion. "Dad," Leela said, looking up at the wall with a mixture of pride and nostalgia, "I'm so grateful that we did this together. I want to keep carrying this forward, to make sure Horizon is always a place where people feel valued." Marcus hugged her, his heart swelling with pride and love. "You already are, Leela. This is your legacy now, and I know you'll make it even better." They stood together in silence, feeling the weight of all they had built. Horizon had become a force for good, a symbol of what was possible when people chose to care for one another. And as they looked out over the bustling terminal, watching passengers move through the airport with smiles and laughter, they knew that their journey was far from over. Passing the torch. As the years went by, Horizon's reputation for empathy and service grew stronger, transforming not only the airline industry, but the lives of countless people around the world. For Marcus, seeing Horizon evolve into a force for kindness had been the fulfillment of a lifelong dream, one he had shared with his daughter from the very beginning. Now, as he approached retirement, he knew it was time to pass the torch to the next generation, a generation represented by Leela, who had grown from a curious, kind-hearted child into a compassionate, driven young woman ready to take the reins. Leela was now in her 20s, having spent the last few years working in various departments within Horizon. She had taken on roles in customer service, marketing, and operations, even completing an internship with Horizon's international partnerships team. Through it all, she maintained a hands-on approach, never losing sight of the values that had brought Horizon its success. Employees from all levels of the company respected her, and they often saw in her the same warmth and resolve they had admired in Marcus. One crisp autumn evening, Marcus and Leela walked through the Horizon headquarters, now bustling with employees and visitors who were proud to be part of the airline's legacy. The walls were adorned with photos from Horizon's early days, reminders of the humble beginnings that had grown into something remarkable. They paused at the kindness wall, now a mosaic of thousands of notes and photos from employees, passengers, and even people from the communities where Horizon's hubs were located. Each note was a reminder of a moment when someone had chosen kindness, a legacy built on the values Leela's letter had once inspired. "Dad, this wall," Leela began, her voice filled with awe as she read some of the new notes. "It's hard to believe it all started with that one letter. Look how far we've come." Marcus smiled, a mix of pride and nostalgia in his eyes. "It's because of you, Leela. You showed me the importance of kindness when I was too focused on business to see it. And now, it's time for you to take Horizon into the future. Are you ready?" Leela took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words. She had known for some time that this moment would come, but now that it was here, the reality of it was both exciting and humbling. "I think I am, Dad, but I could never have done this without you. You built Horizon, and I promise to carry forward everything you've taught me." As they continued their walk, they spoke about Lila's vision for the future of Horizon. She wanted to deepen Horizon's commitment to social impact, expanding the Horizon hubs and increasing partnerships with community organizations around the world. She envisioned a company where every employee felt empowered to make a difference, where kindness was as essential to the business as fuel and airplanes. "There's one thing I've been thinking about, Dad," she said, her voice thoughtful. "I want to create a formal mentorship program within Horizon. So many employees have been touched by the kindness culture here, and I think if we pair seasoned staff with new hires, we can make sure our values are passed on to every generation that comes through Horizon." Marcus nodded, impressed by her insight. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Lila. Mentorship has always been one of the most powerful ways to teach and inspire. If every employee feels connected to our mission, it will keep growing in ways we can't even imagine." The next day, Marcus announced his retirement to Horizon staff, naming Lila as his successor. The news was met with an outpouring of support and gratitude. Employees gathered to honor Marcus, sharing stories of how his vision and leadership had transformed their lives. Many spoke about the pride they felt working for a company that valued empathy, respect, and connection above all else. For Marcus, it was a deeply moving experience. He had spent decades building Horizon, but knowing that he was leaving it in the hands of someone he trusted completely gave him peace. At the farewell ceremony, Layla stood beside her father, ready to step into her new role but aware of the legacy she was inheriting. Marcus spoke to the crowd, his voice steady but filled with emotion. This journey began with a simple idea: to build an airline that treated every passenger with kindness and respect, he said. But over the years, it's become much more than that. Horizon has become a family, a place where we come together to make the world a little bit better, one flight, one passenger, one act of kindness at a time. I am so proud of what we've built together, and I am even prouder to know that Lila will be leading us into the future. Layla took the microphone, her voice strong and confident. "Thank you, Dad, and thank you to everyone who has been part of this journey. Horizon is more than just an airline. It's a movement, a way of life, a commitment to kindness that we carry with us every day. I promise to honor the legacy we've built and to keep pushing forward, to find new ways to make a positive impact on our passengers, our communities, and each other." The crowd erupted into applause, and as Leela and Marcus stood together on the stage, they felt the weight and beauty of the legacy they were carrying forward. With Leela as CEO, Horizon continued to thrive. Her first major initiative was to expand the Horizon hubs internationally, bringing Horizon's mission of kindness to communities around the world. She introduced a program called Horizons Beyond, which provided resources for local entrepreneurs, community leaders, and students in underserved areas. Each hub became a vibrant center for education, empowerment, and compassion, staffed by Horizon employees who volunteered their time. The Horizons Beyond program quickly gained attention, drawing praise from international organizations for its innovative approach to social responsibility. Horizon hubs in cities like Mumbai, Cape Town, and Buenos Aires became gathering places for people from all walks of life, offering job training, language classes, and mentorship opportunities. Each hub reflected the unique needs of its community, but they all shared the same spirit of kindness and connection that had become Horizon's hallmark. Lila's leadership style was one of openness and inclusion. She often visited the hubs, spending time with the people they served and listening to their stories. One afternoon, during a visit to the hub in Mumbai, she met a young girl named Priya, who reminded her of herself when she was younger. Priya was shy but curious, and as they sat together, she opened up to Leela about her dreams of becoming a teacher. "I want to help people like you do," Priya said, her eyes shining. "I want to make a difference." Leela smiled, feeling a deep connection to the young girl's words. "You can, Priya. You already have the heart for it. Just remember, it doesn't matter how small your actions may seem. Kindness always makes a difference." As Leela spoke, she saw a spark of hope and excitement in Priya's eyes, a reminder of the impact Horizon was having on lives around the world. In that moment, Leela knew that her father's legacy of kindness was thriving, reaching new generations who would carry it forward in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Back in the United States, Leela introduced a new employee program called Wings of Compassion. The program encouraged Horizon employees to participate in acts of kindness within their communities and rewarded those who made significant contributions. Every quarter, employees could nominate each other for the Kindness Ambassador Award, which recognized those who had gone above and beyond to make a difference. The response was overwhelming. Stories poured in from employees who had organized neighborhood cleanups, volunteered at shelters, and even helped build homes for families in need. Each story was shared company-wide, inspiring others to find new ways to contribute. The Wings of Compassion program became a cornerstone of Horizon's culture, a reminder that kindness wasn't just a corporate slogan. It was a way of life that each employee embraced. One evening, as Leela reviewed stories submitted by employees, she came across one that touched her deeply. It was from an employee named Javier, a ground crew member who had helped a young mother stranded with her 2 children due to a canceled flight. Javier had stayed with them throughout the night, bringing them blankets, snacks, and even reading to the children until they fell asleep. The mother's note of gratitude was heartfelt, and she described Javier as a guardian angel who had turned a stressful situation into one filled with compassion. Reading Javier's story, Leela felt a surge of pride. This was the heart of Horizon, a place where people cared for one another, where kindness wasn't just encouraged, it was celebrated. Under Lila's leadership, Horizon continued to expand, reaching new destinations and setting new standards in customer service. The airline introduced the Kindness Passport program on international flights, an initiative that showcased stories of kindness from different cultures and encouraged passengers to share their own experiences. The program became a favorite among travelers, who often posted their entries on social media, creating a global community bound by the values Horizon had always championed. One afternoon, as Leela prepared for an interview with a major news network, she received a message from her father. It was a simple note, but it conveyed everything she needed to hear. "I am so proud of you, Leila. You've made Horizon more than I ever dreamed it could be. Keep shining, and remember that the smallest act of kindness can change a life. Love, Dad." Tears filled her eyes as she read his words. She knew that her father's legacy would always be with her, guiding her through every decision, every new venture. Horizon was more than an airline. It was a family, a mission, and a promise to make the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. The interview went well, with the host praising Horizon's commitment to compassion and social impact. As Leela spoke about the journey she and her father had shared, she realized how far they had come and how much further she was determined to go. She knew that Horizon would continue to grow, to inspire, and to make a difference, fueled by the legacy her father had entrusted to her. In the years that followed, Horizon's influence only grew. The Horizons Beyond program expanded to dozens of cities, creating a network of kindness that spanned continents. The Wings of Compassion program inspired countless employees to become agents of change within their own communities. And through it all, Leela carried forward her father's vision, a vision that had started with a single letter, a small act of courage, and a belief in the power of kindness. One evening, as Leela sat in her office overlooking the twinkling lights of the city, she thought of her father, of everything they had built together, and of the future she was now shaping. Horizon was her family's legacy, a beacon of hope, compassion, and connection in a world that often felt divided. She smiled, knowing that her journey was only beginning, and that as long as there were people willing to choose kindness, Horizon's legacy would continue to soar, touching lives and transforming hearts for generations to come. Horizons Unbound. Under Lila's leadership, Horizon Airways continued to expand, its commitment to kindness and community a defining trait that set it apart from competitors. Horizon was no longer just an airline. It was a movement. What had started as a family-run company with a compassionate mission was now shaping the industry, inspiring a new generation of businesses to put people first. But for Leela, the journey was far from over. She was constantly exploring new ways to deepen Horizon's impact, to make kindness a universal language that reached across borders, cultures, and industries. One afternoon, Leela sat in a conference room at Horizon's headquarters, surrounded by her executive team. They were brainstorming the next steps for the Horizons Beyond initiative, which had grown into one of Horizon's most impactful programs. Horizons Beyond had now established hubs in over 20 countries, each one tailored to meet the needs of its unique community. The hubs provided job training, language courses, mentorship for young people, and support for families. They had become essential resources, places where hope and opportunity met. But Leela wanted more. She wanted Horizons Beyond to not only serve communities but to empower them, to help people build lasting futures with skills and resources that would uplift generations. What if we could create a network of Horizon Academies? Leela proposed, her eyes shining with excitement. Instead of just offering job training, we could establish educational centers, places where people could gain practical skills, certifications, even degrees. Imagine if we could help young people and adults not only find jobs but build careers, start businesses, and make a difference in their communities. The room fell silent as her team absorbed the idea, realizing the profound impact such a network could have. "That's an incredible vision, Leela," said Jenna, the head of customer relations, who had been with Horizon since the early days of the Kindness Connection. "It's ambitious, but I think it's exactly what Horizon stands for. We're in the business of connecting people, and what better way to do that than by helping them achieve their dreams?" The executive team was in agreement, and together they mapped out the foundation of Horizon Academies. They decided to start by partnering with local educational organizations, colleges, and NGOs in communities where Horizon hubs were already established. Each academy would offer a range of courses and certifications, from business and technology to healthcare and customer service, all designed to meet the needs of the local job market. Horizon employees would volunteer as mentors, sharing their expertise and helping students navigate their paths. Leela was exhilarated. She knew that Horizon Academies could be transformative, giving people the tools to build futures they may never have thought possible. Over the next year, the project took shape, and the first Horizon Academies opened their doors in cities like Nairobi, Mumbai, and Rio de Janeiro. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of students enrolled in the courses, eager to learn and make a better life for themselves and their families. Stories of success began to pour in. Young women starting their own businesses, men who had once struggled to find stable jobs now training to become healthcare workers, and teenagers from underprivileged backgrounds learning skills that opened doors to new opportunities. Each story was a testament to the power of compassion-driven education, a reminder of what could happen when people were given the chance to succeed. During a visit to the Horizon Academy in Nairobi, Leela met a young man named Samuel. He had grown up in a rural village with few educational opportunities, but thanks to the academy, he was studying computer science, a subject he'd never dreamed he'd have access to. "Ms. Johnson," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "Before the academy, I didn't think I had any options. Now I feel like my life is just beginning. I want to use what I learn here to help my community, to teach others the way you've helped me." Leela felt a wave of pride and humility. Samuel's words reminded her of her own journey, of the way her father had taught her that kindness could change the world. She knew that Horizon's mission had become more than a family legacy. It was a promise to people like Samuel, a commitment to building a world where everyone had the opportunity to thrive. Back in the United States, Horizon was also making strides in environmental sustainability. Leela understood that true compassion extended to how the company treated the planet, and she wanted Horizon to lead by example in reducing its environmental impact. Partnering with environmental scientists and sustainability experts, Horizon implemented a program called Wings of Green. The initiative aimed to reduce the airline's carbon footprint through a series of eco-friendly practices, including investing in fuel-efficient aircraft, minimizing single-use plastics on flights, and implementing a carbon offset program where passengers could contribute to reforestation projects. To encourage passengers to participate, Horizon introduced an app feature that tracked the environmental impact of their flights and offered ways to offset their carbon footprint. Each time a passenger contributed to an environmental project, they received a green wings badge that could be displayed on their digital boarding pass. Passengers loved the initiative, and it became an industry model, inspiring other airlines to adopt similar practices. Leela's vision for a more sustainable Horizon didn't stop there. She commissioned a task force to explore ways to reduce waste in Horizon's operations, from the food served on flights to the packaging used in hubs and academies. The task force developed a plan to partner with local farms and suppliers for fresh, sustainably sourced ingredients, reducing food waste and supporting local economies. Within a year, Horizon had reduced its waste by nearly 30%, a milestone that further solidified the airline's reputation as a leader in ethical and sustainable business practices. The success of Wings of Green and Horizon Academies attracted media attention, and soon, Leela found herself once again in the spotlight. Interviews and magazine profiles highlighted her innovative approach to business, calling her a visionary leader reshaping the airline industry. But despite the accolades, Leela remained humble, always redirecting the praise back to her team and to the mission she had inherited from her father. One evening, as she was preparing for a major interview, she received a call from her father. Marcus had been enjoying his retirement, traveling, and spending time on projects he had put off for years. But he still kept a close eye on Horizon's progress, often calling to congratulate Leela on her achievements. "I just wanted to tell you how proud I am, Leela," Marcus said, his voice warm and full of pride. "You've taken what we started and built it into something I could never have imagined. The hubs, the academies, Wings of Green, it's remarkable. You're changing lives every day." Leela felt a lump in her throat as she listened to his words. "Thank you, Dad. I couldn't have done any of this without you. You taught me everything, and I just want to keep making you proud." "You already have, Leela," he replied. "More than you know. Remember, it all started with a simple letter. Never underestimate the power of small acts, and always keep kindness at the heart of what you do." As they ended the call, Leela felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that Horizon's journey was far from over, that there were still people to reach, communities to uplift, and futures to empower. Inspired by her father's words, she began developing a new initiative called Horizons for Hope, a scholarship program to help underprivileged youth from around the world pursue higher education. The scholarships would cover tuition and living expenses, giving recipients the freedom to focus on their studies and dreams. The first cohort of Horizons for Hope scholars included students from diverse backgrounds, some from rural villages, others from underserved urban neighborhoods. Each recipient had faced significant challenges, but they shared an unyielding determination to make a difference. Lila met with each of them before they left for their respective universities, listening to their stories and sharing words of encouragement. One scholar, a young woman named Amina from Morocco, expressed her gratitude with tears in her eyes. "Ms. Johnson, this scholarship has given me hope. I want to become a doctor and help people in my village who have no access to health care. Because of you and Horizon, I can make that dream come true." Overwhelmed, Leela hugged Amina, realizing that her father's legacy was woven into every story, every dream Horizon supported. She knew that Horizon was now much more than an airline. It was a symbol of hope, a bridge to opportunity, a family dedicated to making the world a better place. The years that followed saw Horizon soar to new heights. The airline became a model for compassionate business, its values integrated into every flight, every hub, and every interaction with passengers and employees. Lila's leadership inspired countless other companies to adopt similar values, creating a ripple effect that reached across industries. In recognition of her impact, Lila was awarded a prestigious humanitarian prize, an honor she accepted with humility, crediting her father and the entire Horizon family for the success they had achieved together. During her acceptance speech, she reflected on the journey that had brought them here. "It all began with a letter," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "A simple letter that reminded us all of the power of kindness. Today, that letter has grown into something far greater than I ever imagined. Horizon is not just an airline. It's a testament to what happens when people choose compassion over convenience, empathy over efficiency, kindness over profit. This journey belongs to all of us, and I am so grateful to everyone who has made it possible." As she stepped off the stage, she felt the weight of her father's legacy, a legacy she was honored to carry forward. But she also knew that the torch was not hers alone. Horizon had become a family, a community, a global movement dedicated to lifting others up. And as long as there were people willing to believe in the power of kindness, she knew that Horizon's story would continue to inspire, transforming lives, building bridges, and spreading hope across the skies. Later that night, as she sat alone in her office, Layla looked out over the city lights, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. She thought of her father, of the values he had instilled in her, and of the incredible future that lay ahead. Horizon was her family's legacy, but it was also a promise to make the world a kinder, more connected place, one person, one flight, one act of compassion at a time. With renewed determination, she began drafting plans for Horizon's next chapter, knowing that their journey was far from over. As long as there were new horizons to explore, she would be there, carrying the torch of kindness forward, lifting others up, and keeping her father's legacy alive in the hearts of everyone touched by Horizon's unwavering mission. The skies were boundless, and so was Horizon's commitment to change the world for the better. And as Leela looked out into the night, she knew that she was ready for whatever lay ahead, because kindness, after all, had given her wings.